Hi, my name is Alex Mann, and today I'm going to be talking about my review of the book Methodological Challenges when Exploring Digital Learning Spaces in Education. The book is a collection of research and literature reviews in the areas, and those research articles or literature reviews kind of focus on four different areas, four different chapters. The first is networked learning in virtual environments. The second is researcher interaction in various environments. The third is exploring children's meaning making in digital contexts. And the fourth is challenges ahead. So the first chapter is networked learning in virtual environments, and that is comprised of three different articles. The first is Mobile Learning Design Solutions, Innovations in Learning Through the Use of Mobiles Across Contexts. This article is really looking at how mobile devices and the applications or software that's provided on those mobile devices can enhance learning. And they are working towards creating a kind of framework to design actual applications. So you can kind of see it breaks it down into what are the purposes of this learning tool, what devices will it be used on, and what kind of users will be utilizing that. And at the apex of that is the design solution. So what learning techniques need to be incorporated, what's the mode of delivery, how long or intense should the application or game on the mobile phone be. Any mobile device, tablet, etc. is also included. And then also the characteristics and composition of the design. So you can kind of see the graphics that are included in the book that kind of help enhance the methodologies that are used and also the framework that's created during that process. So you can also see the second article is Tracing Resonance, a Qualitative Research and Network World. It's looking at how to deal with a lot of the multiplicity of data. So when you have multimodal kind of compositions, how can we as researchers really analyze all different facets of that in a very linear way? And the way that they go about doing that is called resonance, or and that's basically mapping the thematic emergence. So in number C, you can kind of see a table that they created based on a wiki that they were involved in, and it kind of traces how a theme emerges in terms of sexuality from one post to the next, and those responses, and over time and through different people and places, they're really able to kind of assess how a theme emerges and translates over time. The third article in this chapter is Research Challenges for Education in Video Games and Virtual Reality. And they are really kind of addressing the challenge that is research in these areas, because a lot of the research just basically states that video games are good. Because they're good in these contexts outside of school, they'll be good in school too. So this article I found particularly relevant because they are trying to kind of determine whether these things are actually good in an educational context. And they use the epistemological belief scale, the EBS, to kind of determine whether students are actually learning. They do a lot of think alouds. That's kind of how they assess their framework that they build. In terms of theories, they use the personal epistemological beliefs, PEBS, and they use game theory to kind of determine whether that game that was created or virtual reality that's created really addresses the educational needs for that area. And they kind of back that up with the PEBS and student thought. The second chapter is about researcher interaction in various environments, and the first article is about opening proprietary ecologies, participatory action design research with young people. So they are using students to kind of create things. They use the mydigitalfootprint.org, and they use kind of participatory action research and participatory design to kind of create this blog for the students. They use WordPress and BuddyPress to kind of have students build their own kind of literacy in a word. So it kind of shows the evolution of having students kind of design their own. In the second article for this chapter, challenges arising when using field notes and video observations, they were looking at a study of teachers using interactive whiteboards. The research group and the school and the teachers had different goals and expectations of the outcomes of researcher participation in the project. And really, this article assesses kind of what is it that each of these participants is kind of looking for from that relationship. They do this by classroom observations, interviews, and surveys of the four things: assessment of learning, communication, classroom management, and didactic design. And the way that they kind of use their theories is more of like how to implement interactive whiteboards. And then kind of at the end is when they discuss how the researcher interaction and role with the teachers really kind of enhances that the way that teachers can implement whiteboard design. The third chapter is exploring children's meaning making in digital contexts. And so the first article within that chapter is digital experiences in early childhood. The main focus of this chapter is an inquiry into the methodological challenges arising from the same phenomenon during the period of ongoing pragmatic changes. And they use a mixed research approach. They call it the mosaic of understanding. And you can kind of see in number C, or in letter number C, the table, it kind of talks about the theories and how those theories are kind of operationalized within this article. The second article in this chapter is exploring what touchscreens offer from the perspectives of children, and the methodological challenges that are kind of provided from that. So understanding technology in itself is simply not sufficient. We need to understand how the technology in use, and that's really something that this chapter, I think, does really well, or this article, I'm sorry. How can researchers obtain the children's perspectives on this type of research, and how can researchers really inform teachers' designs for activities and materials when you're dealing with these kinds of issues? I'm sorry. They use micro multimodal analysis of two children working in front of a touch screen, and you can kind of see in the picture number C, they record their interactions and they kind of talk about what they're saying and how their gestures are, and they kind of create a digital comic almost, in a way, of kind of a step-by-step process of what's being happened. The Challenges Up Ahead only has one article, and that is Tracing Learning Across Contexts, the Methodological Challenges and Ethical Considerations. So education and context we're talking about boundary crossings, boundary objects, framings, transformative learning, seamless learning, and this chapter really discusses the challenges with each of the methodologies located in the book, and it's basically a literature review. Overall, the book is quite good as an overview of research in this field. The chapters really do a good job of describing challenges and try to provide options to overcome them. However, I do think that there is a need for more on the children's perspective. You saw the one article that had that, but It does need a lot more of that because it's mainly the researcher's thoughts. It could also use a chapter on teacher implementation and development. It briefly addressed that, but it didn't really go in depth, and I thought that was a big place where it could improve upon. So please, I hope that you enjoy this book because it really was very beneficial, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on it. Thanks so much. Bye.